Here's what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing some mistakes. I was on the ground in Colombia. I was there broadcasting from a location at Lizard's Thicket. I've been down there before. The split in the South Carolina vote's really important in the more social conservative areas, and we have to separate conservative from social conservative. They're being put here as one and the same. They're not. If the Republicans hang their hat on social conservatism, they will lose the election. Obama gets another term.
But this is about the economy, isn't it?
It's about the economy and state economics in South Carolina, 10% unemployment and underemployment even higher. That hurts. But, however, what happened is Newt got the enthusiasm. He got voter enthusiasm in South Carolina. And when you look at the breakouts, Richland County, more moderate, Romney won it. Romney won the moderate areas. He got a lot of moderate vote. He didn't overcome it.
It sounds like you're pulling out a silver lining from Romney.
No, I'm not. No, I'm breaking it down by the number. I'm breaking it down by the numbers. But the voter enthusiasm played heavily for Newt. That first question that he knocked out of the ballpark and took John King on, that gave him. And for the Republicans who want to see Obama's nose bloodied, I got news for you. Bloody in his nose is not going to win the election. It's the person who has the boots on the ground, who has the national structure, who can go out there, and independents will decide.
But wouldn't South Carolina belie that because Romney had better structure there? And wouldn't this new poll in Florida belie that because of all the money that Mitt has and now Newt's taken over that?
His losing point, the losing point for Romney is that Romney doesn't get out there and show himself to be the fighter. He's playing a national strategy. He should be running a primary strategy right now.
Okay. President Obama, he's going to give a State of the Union address tomorrow. Now, should we expect him to announce some sort of new program to deal with the housing crisis? A lot of people saying, Dennis, it could be a massive principal reduction plan.
A forced principal reduction plan in the banks. You know, you actually passed a federal law forcing the banks to, take down 20% off the value of the homes owed. And, of course, this from an administration that was one of the first ever to put bondholders at the back of the line in that GM bailout where they took equity, gave it to the union, and then they said bondholders, debt holders, forget it. And now they're going to tell banks, which in this essence are debt holders for mortgage holders, that you just have to whack the principal down. Understand something, though. There's like 110, 120 million homes in the U.S. Only 10%, 12 million homes are underwater, according to the latest Federal Reserve numbers. And of those, only 3.4 million homes are in default and not paying. The other more than 8 million.
The Obama administration, hold on 1 second. The Obama administration takes your numbers and says, to your point, why should we let 3 million homes hold an entire 100 million homes hostage? Let us clean this up. Let the banks take the bite. Bring America back.
Because those 3.4 million homes owe $275 billion more than the homes are worth. And whose fault is that? They're probably the people who bought late in the bubble. They were speculating. They were betting that the prices would keep rising and they could just flip it if they ran into trouble. They ran into trouble at a time when prices since 2006 are down 30%, $7 trillion in lost value. $275 billion at risk. They owe that more than the home's worth. That's not a big deal. That's less than 4% of the total losses we've had so far. I don't think that's a crisis requiring government to step in and violate 250 years of property rights in America and say banks were whacking the principal, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and I agree. Look, Charles, you and I have been talking about this for a couple of years about all these failures in real estate, commercial REITs, everything. But going to the housing issue, this is about also selling policy that gets reelected. This president is going to tell you that if you owe too much, then I'm going to bail you out. This is another failed the HAMP program.
And $1 trillion student loans are next.
Exactly. But he's using everything possible. And look, I hate to say this, but when you look at what Gallup poll, the latest Gallup poll about the change in satisfaction.
We're going to get into that in a second. Before we shift gears, but from a political point of view, Jedediah, could it work for the president? Could the president say, listen, this is a gift for all Americans?
Sure. I mean, I think as a political point, it might resonate with some people. I think he's going to go in. The killer for this State of the Union is going to be more class warfare. There's a Rasmussen poll out today that says that 47% of people favor a candidate who would raise taxes on the wealthy. I think he's going to play into that.
All right. Now we want to get the latest. We want to check this poll that you were just talking about, David, from Gallup. 13% of Americans say they're satisfied with the U.S. economy. Now that's down 23 percentage points since 2008. So what do you make of it, David?
Well, this gives the president the perfect point that Jedediah just made. He's going to play the class warfare. He's going to play race warfare. He's going to do whatever he can to coalesce his base. And I pains me to say this about this president, but here's what we have. We essentially have a despot in training for this reason. Any man or anyone who's willing to keep his power by simply using legislative means, whatever means necessary, the new Fannie and Freddie extension past 2012, the ability to rewrite loans, whatever they will to get back in power, means that this president will do anything possible at your expense. One half the population pays for the other, and he's going to demonize Wall Street. He's going to demonize free market. He's going to make what Newt Gingrich did to Mitt Romney look like a Sunday picnic when it comes to going after free market capitalism.
The question, though, is where is the Tea Party in all of this? Weren't you guys the ones who were fighting back just a couple of years ago? It feels like, is it disbanded? What happened?
No. Here's what the Tea Parties did, and Carl Cameron and I had a good conversation about this in Colombia. The Tea Party has coalesced. We've gone into the idea of getting together for the activation that's going to be needed. We've got to get past June, the Obamacare decision. We've got to get past the primaries. When the candidate's selected, that's when the Tea Parties need to come out. And by the way, the Tea Parties in South Carolina, not solidly behind Newt, not solidly behind Mitt or Santorum. Everybody wants to claim it because the ones that are paying attention know we're there and know that when it's time, millions, not a few thousand like Occupy Wall Street, millions of Americans will step out and say we need limited, effective, constitutional government, free market enterprise. We need the things that have made America work.
We assume and hope, but according to Jedediah, maybe that's not going to be the case. Certainly, 2011 was all about the disenfranchised, even kids going to Columbia, they were disenfranchised somehow. I don't know how that works. Next topic, David. According to the Associated Press, too many states aren't ready for Obamacare. That means one thing, that the federal government's going to have to step in. It's going to cost us so much more money. Now, this was something we were told we were going to love once we got used to it. It's been a couple years.
Yeah, wait till you learn more about it. You're going to love it. That was Princess Pelosi's statement and Captain Reed. Look, the bottom line on this is it's also the mechanism. How do these states decide to get ready for this, and how do they decide to change it if we have a June decision?
How do you get ready for something if you don't have the money to pay for it?
Well, that's the problem. It's the mechanism and the money. I mean, the states are looking at their budgets on an annual basis. They're not looking at it like the Obama administration, which says we'll bleed the taxpayers to pay for more or we'll borrow from China.
So this dovetails back into what you were saying.
Yeah.
Higher taxes, higher taxes,
right.
higher taxes.
You have half the states still suing to overturn this. I don't think they're going to be rushing to implement it. And I think a lot of people are waiting to see what the Supreme Court decision is. Does the federal government have the authority to mandate that the states pay for these kinds of things? So we're all waiting, and a lot of these states are hoping that this will be
not
down
just the lawsuits, but look at the states that are not involved in the lawsuit and their lack of action. That's a bigger meter than that. We know where the lawsuits
thing, David,
are.
is that if you look at the AP analysis said 13 states have adopted it, but they have only 1 in 4 of the uninsured. The states with the biggest bulk of uninsureds are the ones balking and the ones having a problem. 20 states are lagging behind, and they have 42% of the uninsured people in this country. You would think that if you're a state with more uninsured people, you would be racing to embrace this because this was supposed to be the answer.
That's because the governors and the state legislators who have to deal with this are looking at it for what it is. They realize it will not work, and the American culture won't bear it.
All right.
Who stood up? The American